The fall of 2001. America, still reeling from the devastating attacks of September 11th, faced a new terror, anthrax. Invisible, deadly spores sent through the mail brought fear and uncertainty to a nation already on edge. The letters addressed to media outlets and government officials contained a chilling message. Death could be delivered silently, invisibly, anywhere. The first victims were unsuspecting postal workers, handling letters laced with a fine white powder, then journalists, opening envelopes containing cryptic threats and deadly spores. The nation watched in horror as the death toll mounted, the victims succumbing to a terrifying, invisible enemy. The attacks forced America to confront a terrifying new reality. The threat of bioterrorism was real, and it was here. The nation held its breath, united in fear and uncertainty, as investigators raced to find the source of the attacks and bring the perpetrators to justice. The first sign of trouble arrived at the offices of the Sun newspaper in Boca Raton, Florida, on October 4, 2001. Robert Stevens, a photo editor, became the first casualty of a calculated bioterror attack that would grip the nation in fear. Days later, letters containing anthrax spores began appearing in mailboxes across the country. The envelopes, marked with deliberately misspelled words and chilling messages like "Death to America," contained a fine, white powder weaponized anthrax spores. The timing, just weeks after 9/11, amplified the sense of vulnerability and fear across the nation. The investigation into the 2001 anthrax attacks, dubbed Anthrax by the FBI, was one of the most complex and costly in American history. Initial suspicions focused on foreign actors, given the timing of the attacks so soon after 9/11. However, as the investigation progressed, the focus shifted to domestic sources, particularly within the scientific community. The investigation zeroed in on Dr. Bruce Ivins, an Army scientist working at the United States Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases, USAMRID. Ivins, a brilliant but troubled microbiologist, became the prime suspect, with the FBI building a circumstantial case based on his access, expertise, and deteriorating mental state. Ivins, facing mounting pressure from the investigation and battling his own personal demons, tragically took his own life in 2008 before ever facing trial. The 2001 anthrax attacks, though limited in scope compared to the horrors of 9/11, had a profound impact on American society. The Postal Service, a symbol of everyday life, became a source of anxiety. Mailrooms were shut down, suspicious letters reported, and the simple act of opening an envelope became fraught with fear. The government responded with swift and decisive action, implementing a raft of new security measures. The Patriot Act, passed in the wake of 9/11, was expanded to include provisions aimed at preventing bioterrorism, increasing surveillance powers, and tightening border controls. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, received a significant boost in funding and authority, tasked with improving disease surveillance, preparedness, and response capabilities. The 2001 anthrax attacks left an indelible mark on the American psyche. Airports, once bustling hubs of international travel, transformed into fortresses of security checkpoints, baggage scanners, and armed guards. Public spaces, from shopping malls to sports stadiums, implemented security protocols once unimaginable, a constant reminder of the ever-present threat. The government, citing the need to prevent future attacks, expanded surveillance powers, monitoring communications and tracking online activities. The line between security and privacy blurred, sparking debates about the balance between freedom and safety in an age of terror. Research into deadly pathogens, once confined to the realm of academic curiosity, took on a new urgency, driven by the need to develop countermeasures to potential bioweapons. The 2001 anthrax attacks brought the terrifying potential of bioterrorism to the forefront of public consciousness. Anthrax, a disease caused by the bacterium Bacillus anthracis, became synonymous with fear and uncertainty. Understanding the science behind anthrax, its transmission, and its devastating effects is crucial to comprehending the gravity of the 2001 attacks and the ongoing threat of bioterrorism. Anthrax is a zoonotic disease primarily affecting herbivorous animals like cattle, sheep, and goats. Humans can contract anthrax through contact with infected animals or their products, or through the inhalation of anthrax spores. There are three main forms of anthrax infection: cutaneous, gastrointestinal, and inhalation. Inhalation anthrax, the most lethal form, occurs when anthrax spores are inhaled deep into the lungs, where they germinate and release toxins that attack the body's systems. The symptoms of anthrax infection vary depending on the route of exposure and the severity of the infection. Despite the FBI's conclusion that Bruce Ivins acted alone in carrying out the 2001 anthrax attacks, the case remains shrouded in controversy and unanswered questions. Critics of the FBI's investigation point to the lack of a clear motive for Ivins to commit such a heinous act. The complexity of preparing and sending the anthrax letters, a process requiring specialized knowledge and equipment, has also raised doubts about whether Ivins could have acted alone. The FBI's case against Ivins relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, including his access to the Ames strain of anthrax, his late-night work habits, and his alleged attempts to mislead investigators. The lack of any direct physical evidence linking Ivins to the anthrax letters, such as fingerprints or DNA, remains a significant weakness in the prosecution's case. The 2001 anthrax attacks served as a wake-up call, exposing the vulnerability of modern society to the threat of bioterrorism and highlighting the need for robust biosecurity measures. One of the most significant lessons learned from the 2001 attacks was the need for enhanced laboratory security. The fact that the anthrax used in the attacks originated from a government lab highlighted the potential for insider threats and the need for stricter controls over access to dangerous pathogens. In response, the United States implemented the Select Agent Program, which regulates the possession, use, and transfer of biological agents and toxins that pose a severe threat to public health and safety. The attacks also underscored the importance of robust disease surveillance and early detection systems. The ability to rapidly identify and respond to outbreaks of infectious diseases, whether naturally occurring or deliberately released, is crucial to mitigating their impact. 2 decades after the 2001 anthrax attacks, the world remains haunted by the specter of bioterrorism. The attacks, a stark reminder of the vulnerability of modern society to unseen threats, ushered in an era of heightened security, transformed public health infrastructure, and sparked debates about the balance between freedom and safety in an age of terror. The attacks exposed the vulnerability of open societies, the ease with which deadly pathogens could be weaponized, and the devastating consequences of such attacks on public health, national security, and the very fabric of daily life. The legacy of the 2001 anthrax attacks continues to shape the world today. The attacks serve as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance, preparedness, and the need for continued investment in biosecurity measures. As technology advances and the accessibility of dangerous pathogens increases, the threat of bioterrorism will likely become even more complex and challenging to address.